Welcome to Hunny Walia shows. I'm your host, Sonal Fool. Today we have Minister Nicolaides Demetrious, who is a Minister for Advanced Education. And Ministry has announced today the new program, which is 2030 Building Skills for Jobs in a Transformational Mission Direction and a new way of working for our province, towards especially involving the higher education, the kids from grade 6 onwards to their grade 12. This program, basically 2030 Initiate, will develop a highly skilled and competitive workforce, strengthen innovation and commercialization of research, and forego stronger relationship between the employer and employee, and basically will be preparing the students when they are going to workforce. Welcome, Minister.
For having me.
Anytime, sir. So, Nicholas, before we go further, could you introduce us, tell us a little bit in brief what is 2030 Building Skill for Job Strategy Program is?
Yeah, I'd be very happy to. The best and perhaps most simplest way that I can describe it is a 10-year strategy for Alberta's post-secondary system. I think we're seeing a lot of changes happening today. There's a lot of growth in technology. There's many occupations in our province that are going to see more technology change the way specific activities are done. There's new jobs that are being developed. We're seeing growth in areas like tech and using drones or smart agriculture. So there's a lot of changes happening in our economy and in our world. And so I believe this 10-year strategy is thinking about many of those changes and starting work today to make sure our students and our system is ready to meet those future challenges.
No, I agree with you because the environment is changing, the job prospects are changing, job market is changing, and if we do not change the education system, the students who are coming, they will not be able to compete or they will not be able to adjust in the society or in a job market. I really 100% agree with you. So this new program 2030 has 6 points. If we will be talking all 6 point one by point, and then I will ask your explanation and what that means to. But in brief, could you explain what the 6 goals are and what it means?
Yeah, so when we're thinking and developing a strategy for the next 10 years, it's important to think about, well, what are the key areas that we need to focus on? Where are the priorities? And we listened quite a bit to university presidents, students, professors, employers, and many other Albertans about what those priorities should be. And then at the end of the day, we developed 6 priorities. That's what we heard within our system, that we should be focusing on 6 things. The first one is about improving access and the student experience. So we need to make sure that people who want to go to college or trades or to university are able to do that, and they have the right support, resources, and opportunities to do that. The second is about building skills for jobs. So this connects back to the point that we just talked about of helping individuals develop the skills that they need for future success. The third goal is about improving innovation and commercialization of research. So we want to support the research work that occurs on our campuses and, where possible, see some of that research translate into new businesses, new startups, and new applications. The fourth goal is to strengthen internationalization, which I think is pretty straightforward. The fifth goal touches on the importance of improving affordability and financial sustainability, which I'll talk more about in a moment. And the last goal, number 6, is about improving governance, making sure we have the right structure, the right committees, and the right organization to move our system forward.
Thank you, Nicholas. So now we are going, like, as you mentioned, there are 6 goals. And then I will be bringing one point, like each goal individually. And then I will be asking your explanation and how it's going to support not only the students, but future job market also. So your first one, it says improve access and student experience, which basically what I understood is you're talking about ensure all Albertans have access to the high quality post-secondary opportunity and that the student experience is coordinated and integrated in the job market. How you're going to do it?
Well, there's a number of things that we need to do there. One of the things that we're looking at is how we use digital technology to reach learners. With COVID, all of our universities and colleges have had to learn how to operate online. And I think it's important that we learn some lessons from that time and see how we can apply that more widely to reach more students, more people in different ways. So we're going to look very carefully at digital models to help reach more learners. We are also looking at what's called open educational resources. So these are like for example, textbooks that are available in a digital format online that students can share or download. So we're taking a close look at that. As well, we do need to take some more steps to make sure our system is fully integrated. We do have some challenges. So if I can give you an example, sometimes if a student is transferring from one institution to another one, they may not receive full credit for what they have studied and what they have done at the previous institution. And sometimes students are repeating courses, sometimes even repeating an entire year. So we need to improve that transfer system to help make a more seamless student experience.
Thank you, Nicholas. So second goal you had, like when I was reading the brief and the announcement, the second one talks about develop skills for job, ensure every student has the skills, knowledge, and competency to enjoy fulfilled lives and career, and they have greater transparency around labor market outcome. So is only education based or they will have some hand-ons too?
Well, I think that's a very good question. When we talk about building skills for jobs, I think that it needs to be both academic and hands-on. I think that students benefit the most when you have an opportunity to learn the theory, to learn something on an academic basis, and then actually go and apply it. So one of the things that we are pursuing as part of that second goal is to become the first province in all of Canada to offer every undergraduate student a work integrated learning opportunity, an internship, a co-op, or other types of opportunities where they can gain hands-on experience.
So now third point, Nicholas, is there innovation and commercialization, which contribute to Alberta's innovation capability of supporting post-secondary research and strengthening its commercialization potential to create new knowledge, develop future skills, diversify the economy. When we are talking about the diversify, so it's like, it's not diversification from oil to natural resources or solar resources or nuclear powers, which are renewable energy. So is that kind of a concept there?
Yeah, to some extent. I think I'll give you a real life example. At the University of Alberta, the University of Alberta recently received one of the professors there received a Nobel Prize, as you may know, for their work in applied virology, and the government of Alberta, to support that work, provided 20 million in new funding over the course of 4 years. And that's going to the Li Ka-shing Institute, to the Applied Virology Institute. And this generally, this biosciences sector is one that has a lot of potential for growth. And especially now with COVID, we're really seeing how important biosciences are in our life. And so continuing to support work in biosciences or in other areas where we're seeing growth. There's a lot of development in the technology sector. And the government has recently announced a number of different partnerships to support work in those areas. Because when our universities, our colleges are home to new ideas, new research, and that can lead to the creation of new products. Someone creates something new. It can lead to somebody starting a new business. And all of those things help generally to diversify and strengthen our economy.
So the next point is when we talk about strengthening internationalization and global market, becoming a leading destination for top talent to drive the growth of skills, ideas, and innovation locally and globally. So are we talking about making our students who are like global standards instead of becoming a national standards, like education going on that extent?
Well, we're talking mostly about two large things here under internationalization. The first is to make Alberta a more attractive destination for international students and for international talent. We want some of the best and brightest researchers, academics, and students from around the world to want to come to Alberta. And we know that right now, Alberta doesn't perform as strongly as other provinces when it comes to their international student recruitment activities. Many international students choose to go to British Columbia or Ontario or Quebec. But we have so many incredible institutions and so much to offer that we believe we can build a strong team Alberta with all of our universities and colleges together to help promote the benefits of studying in Alberta. And secondly, it's also about making sure that learners, domestic learners here in Alberta, have opportunities to travel abroad and participate in international exchanges, develop international skills, and then bring those skills and that knowledge back home.
No, that's a very good idea. You know, when we bring the students, they are basically not going, when they are finishing the studies, they're becoming part of the labor market also, and they're also paying the taxes. They become a taxable citizen. And when they are here, even buying, small things, even, or renting an apartment, they're helping the economy. The circulation goes on, the cycle goes on. The next point you have, when I was reading, I found interesting: sustainability and affordability provides institution greater flexibility to generate own sources, revenue, and strength student aid. So what that means, what it is covering.
Yeah, the two things are being covered under this goal. The one that's being covered is we have some challenging economic times in our province, and we've seen that universities and colleges in Alberta rely quite a bit on the government to fund their daily operations. And we know that that's not sustainable in the long term. To develop a stronger system, we need to help our institutions generate revenue from different sources and rely less on government. Because I think the less you rely on a single source of income in any kind of context, even any kind of business, the more balanced you can be when responding to challenging situations. So we're looking at some very new changes to reduce a lot of red tape, rules, reports, and other elements of control that the government has over universities so that they can be more entrepreneurial and innovative and engage in new kinds of partnerships that will help their long-term sustainability. And from the affordability side, we need to provide more support to student aid to help more people access post-secondary education. And these will be some of the priorities that we'll be pursuing.
Well, I 100% agree with you. And when we were doing when I did my investment 101 lesson, the person who was helping me always said, don't put all the eggs in one basket because it does not help. And the same thing, what I think you are saying indirectly also, we should not be depending on the government for the resources. We should diversify and look for more resources to generate income so we can make the system more affordable.
The more sources of funding you have, and I think this, this applies to our universities or a nonprofit organization or even a business, the more different, varied and different funding sources that you have, the greater ability you have to weather through turbulent times. So I think that this will help set our institutions. We'll have challenging economic times in the future. There are always good times and there are always challenging times. So if we can give our institutions, our universities, the tools now to start building a more diversified revenue base, when they're faced with future economic challenges, they'll be able to get through it a lot easier.
And it leads to my next question, Nicola. Strengthening system governance, modernizing governance of the system to increase collaboration to drive the outcomes. So now we have a goal now, but we have to get the outcomes too. How is going to happen?
It's a very good point. That's one of the things that we looked at, and we said, well, okay, so these are the key goals. Do we need to make some changes to the way our system is organized and managed to help achieve these goals? And the short answer was yes, that we do need to make some changes. So we're going to create a new committee. It's going to be the Higher Education and Skills Council that will have representatives from universities and colleges, employers, and many other individuals to be able to continue to offer advice to government about strategic priorities and help move our system forward. Because right now, we don't have a committee or any group that can help coordinate activities within our post-secondary system. So we, as part of this effort of developing Alberta 2030, we took a close look at other provinces, other countries around the world, and we saw that many of them have some kind of coordinating committee or higher education council to provide independent, and objective advice and guidance. And we recognized that we didn't have something like this in Alberta. And what was interesting is the way our system was originally designed, the idea was to have a committee like this, but it never worked. It didn't manage to be successful. So we're hoping that we have a new opportunity to create some changes to the way our system is organized to help create better outcomes.
No, I really agree with you, because if we need an outcome, we have to make a policy and procedures. You have to create a base before we can get the outcome. But creating a policies and procedure is one thing. Implementing is a second step. So now the procedure has been created, the policy has been created. What your plans are for implementation?
Well, it's a very, very good question. One of the there's a couple of ways that we'll be moving forward with implementation. So the one is through this new Higher Education Skills Council. This body, one of its main responsibilities will be to help implement this 10-year strategic plan and provide advice to the minister and recommendations to post-secondary, to individual universities and colleges about what we need to do to continue developing and implementing the strategy. Also, we will be implementing the new performance-based funding model. So universities and colleges will have specific targets that they must meet in order to receive their full funding. And those targets will be connected to the 10-year strategy. So that will also help ensure implementation.
So Nicholas, when we are talking about implementation, right, is the process is going to change. Process when it's going to change, it will have some different system not only for the students, for the teachers also, and the students also, and the people and the kids, the children who are going to come in the advanced education. What differences or strategies they will see different from today in near future?
Well, a very good question. I think if we look back and decide whether we've been successful, I think one of the main differences that we should see is more coordination and collaboration. We should see our universities and colleges working together more. We should see students being able to move through our system a lot easier and have a real campus Alberta approach to the way things are done in the province. So I think those are some of the things that we should look for to understand whether we've been successful.
Nicholas, I appreciate your coming forward, taking time from your busy schedule, especially in pandemic time, where all the ministers are they're covered up to their head, not even nose. They're busy, and taking your time and talking to us and giving us a step-by-step information explanation on this new 2030 program. And it's going to make an effect because education is not only for present, it's also building our future. I really appreciate taking your time. But in the end, what message would you like to give to our viewers?
Thank you very much. Maybe I'll provide two messages. The first, just wrapping up on Alberta 2030, is that I'm very confident that this new strategy, which many university presidents, employers, and student leaders are supporting, will help us develop the strongest possible post-secondary system for all Albertans. And secondly, I know there's still a lot on everybody's minds about COVID and vaccinations. And one last thing I would say in that regard is that Alberta's government is moving forward very quickly with making vaccines available to more Albertans. And we estimate that by the end of May, around 48 to 50% of Albertans will be immunized from COVID. And once we start getting to those levels, and we'll certainly start to be able to see restrictions, relaxation of restrictions. And I'm very confident that by the summer, things will look very, very different. So I know it's a very challenging time, but we are getting large doses of vaccine finally arriving. And I believe we're in for a very strong summer with less and less restrictions.
I 100% agree with you, and I encourage all the viewers, all my friends and families, everyone in around the world, please follow Alberta Health. Like in Alberta, follow the Alberta Health Service restrictions and guidelines, because by following and getting the vaccination, only we can pass this pandemic time or difficult time and move forward. And once all, as you mentioned, everything is under control, restrictions will be low. or taken out, and we will be able to enjoy the life. And, we can have a hug festival. To our viewers and explaining the whole 2030 program, I really appreciate. You're watching Honey Walia show. I'm your host, Sonal Fool. Before I take a leave, I really encourage you, I ask you, request you, please follow Alberta Health Services restrictions, wear a mask all the time for your safety and everyone's safety around you, for your loved ones. And if you are allowed, or you have given the go-ahead by Alberta Health Services with the age and other restrictions, if you can get the vaccination, please book it. That's the only way we can go forward what we have now. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate. We take your leave till we meet again.